Hello, everyone. I'm Pastor Misty Howick. I'm an ordained elder that serves the United Methodist Church at New Song in Surprise, Arizona. And we are doing a study on Proverbs. We're looking at the wisdom of the Proverbs as one of three biblical books that are known as being wisdom literature, especially in the Hebrew tradition. So this all comes from the Hebrew Bible or the Old Testament. And the question is what can we pick out of Proverbs that's still relevant today, or what traditions are in Proverbs that give us peace? We're just looking at our connection with Proverbs. Proverbs are an anthology of wisdom sayings, especially chapters 10 through 31. They're set up as couplets, so there's usually one sentence and then another sentence that brings clarity or provides an alternative way of understanding the first sentence. They're called antithetical in that one says something and the other one says it in the negative, basically in the negative way. So today we are on chapter 18. There are 31 chapters in Proverbs, and there are some interesting verses in here today. Again, you have a lot of language about fools and the wise, but in here are also some about family and friends and advice for those who are in the court, like judges, and how to judge properly. So let's go ahead and dig into chapter 18. Most likely we'll read all the way through it, and then I'll have some notes about some of the verses. All right. The one who lives alone is self-indulgent, showing contempt for all sound judgment. A fool takes no pleasure in understanding, but only in expressing personal gain. Only in expressing personal opinion. When wickedness comes, contempt also comes, and with dishonor comes disgrace. The words of the mouth are deep waters. The fountain of wisdom is a gushing stream. It is not right to be partial to the guilty or to subvert the innocent in judgment. A fool's lips bring strife, and a fool's mouth invites a flogging. The mouths of fools are their ruin, and their lips a snare to themselves. The words of a whisperer are like delicious morsels. They go down into the inner parts of the body. One who is slack in work is close kin to a vandal. The name of the Lord is a strong tower. The righteous run into it and are safe. The wealth of the rich is their strong city. In their imagination, it is like a high wall. Before destruction, one's heart is haughty, but humility goes before honor. If one gives answer before hearing, it is folly and shame. The human spirit will endure sickness, but a broken spirit, who can bear? An intelligent mind acquires knowledge, and the ear of the wise seek knowledge. A gift opens doors, it gives access to the great. The one who first states a case seems right, until the other comes and cross-examines. Casting the lot puts an end to disputes and decides between powerful contenders. An ally offended is stronger than a city, but such quarreling is like the bars of a castle. From the fruit of the mouth one's stomach is satisfied. The yield of the lips brings satisfaction. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruits. He who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. The poor use entreaties, but the rich answer roughly. Some friends play at friendship, but a true friend sticks closer than one's sibling. So, those are the 24 verses of this chapter 18. As you might have picked up, there's a lot about also what you say, and what you say matters. What you say matters. What you say can change things. If you are saying, slandering, then you're going to produce consequences for yourself. Also, there's still some wisdom in there about working hard and not being lazy. Our notes from the Jewish Study Bible, which is what I'm using to guide our conversation today, also mentions that there are some places in here where the Hebrew is really hard to understand, and they're not sure, the people who wrote and edited the version of the Bible are not sure if they got the Hebrew right. And I actually looked in a couple of different translations. So this is the Tanakh translation, which is a Jewish Bible. And then I also looked it up in the New Revised Standard Version, updated edition. And this first verse of chapter 18, it doesn't make sense. And the Hebrew doesn't make sense. It's unknown in both of those translations. So I'm going to read it again, and I'm going to agree. It doesn't make sense to me either. The one who lives alone is self-indulgent, showing contempt for all sound judgment. Now, we can hypothesize, until we want to, about the meaning of that. We, without knowing the Hebrew and without, being in ancient Hebrew and reading the original texts, even experts don't really understand if this is what it means, but we could put meaning to those words that, those people, it seems to be a judgment. People who live alone are selfish, they're unwilling to listen to the wise who say that sharing resources is better or, is more efficient or whatever. So take that for what you will. Some other notes that we have from our Jewish Study Bible are that human speech has the potential for deep wisdom, but fool's speech can harm both themselves and others. Verse 10 and 11 I really like, and the juxtaposition of these were noted in the Jewish Study Bible. Verse 10 is, the name of the Lord is a strong tower. The righteous run into it and are safe. The wealth, this is verse 11, the wealth of the rich is their strong city. In their imagination, it is like a high wall. So in the Jewish Study Bible, it actually translated into fortress. So the name of the Lord is a strong fortress. And in verse 11, it's the wealth of the rich is their fortress. And so using that word to juxtaposition both of them, one is real, one is delusional. Verse 10, God is our strong fortress. And verse 11, the people who are rich believe that they can build their own fortress, their own strength. They don't rely on God. They don't rely on others. It's all under their own power. So I like those two verses. I'm glad for the wisdom in those. Verse 14 kind of highlights how important the human spirit is to our physical body. Verse 14 says, the human spirit will endure sickness, but a broken spirit who can bear? So talking about the importance, how much the psychosomatic influences have on our body. So if our mind and our heart are broken, then our body can experience those consequences, those effects. I've seen this happen. If you're down-spirited, it's really hard to stay healthy. Let's see, what else? What other notes do we have? Verse 15, I love this. So verse 15 reminded me of a retired clergy person. Verse 15 is, an intelligent mind acquires knowledge, and the ear of the wise seeks knowledge. So this reminded me of a retired clergy person who told me that he thought the older he got, the wiser he would get, and the more he would know and the more he would understand. But he confessed that the older he got, the more he realized he didn't know, and the more he realized he didn't understand. So for me, it connects with the proverb in that there is always more to learn. A wise person doesn't limit themselves by, saying, oh, I've already learned all that I need to, and I'm just going to stop learning. I'm going to stick to what I've got. A wise person actually continues that journey of seeking knowledge and wisdom. All right. And I thought the last two verses were so interesting, the last 2 and 3 verses. So Verse 22 talks about marriage being a blessing. I love it that it said in the Jewish Bible, marriage is a blessing, period. There may be exceptions, but this is the rule. And just the way that that came off when I read it, I just started laughing, because, isn't that the truth? Isn't that the truth? It was really talking about there may be exceptions in the Bible that says that marriage is not always a blessing, or that God doesn't always view marriage as, something super favorable. This, of course, would not be commenting on anything in the New Testament. It's written way, way, way before. But we do know that Paul was an advocate of not only celibacy, but singleness. Don't get married unless you can't stay celibate and then get married. And so that would, to me, in my mind, if we looked at the Bible as a whole, that would be another example of where marriage is not always a blessing, I guess, depending on who you are. It just sounded so funny when I read it in the notes. The actual verse is, he who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. So there you go. Verse 23, the poor use entreaties, but the rich answer roughly. The note was that this is the way things are and not how they should be. And honestly, I'm just going to let you sit and ponder that one. I don't have a lot of thoughts over the interpretation over that. And then the last verse is, some friends, this is verse 24, some friends play at friendship, but a true friend sticks closer than one's sibling. And I was just telling Jeff the other day about friends. So I call lots of people friends. I call the congregation member friends. I call children in Sunday school classroom friends. I call my children friends. I like it. It's a generic, non-gendered word to talk to a group of people, but I often call my family members friends, and they've told me, don't do that. My children and my husband are like, no, we're closer than friends, we're family. I was like, okay, all right. But in this proverb, it basically says friends are the family that you choose. And so I really like the strength of that word, of friend, especially in the proverb, especially in the phrase, the catchphrase, that friends are family that you choose. So here you have some very interesting wisdom. What verse stuck out to you? What proverb stuck out to you? Is there anything that surprised you in chapter 18? Is there anything that bored you or you don't agree with? Go ahead and leave a comment either here on Facebook or on YouTube. I'd love to hear from you. And I hope that you have a wonderful day. We'll be back tomorrow, sometime during the day, before 4 o'clock, I'm hoping, so that we can do chapter 19 together. All right, God bless.